Okay team, today's mission is to jog from Linden station down to Tawa's infamous bucket tree at the far end of Tawa at Takapu station. I've decided to set myself a whole lot of micro adventures through the winter months to keep myself entertained, and I'm bringing you along with me. And I've had this one on my list for a while, and then I have this massive sense of urgency because I've just found out the bucket tree is a finalist in the New Zealand Tree of the Year competition. Who knew that was a thing? I just learnt this funny fact about Linden station here. So this double-tracked electric line on the Wellington to Auckland railway route, it opened in 1937, and here at the north end of Tawa, whilst it was still very rural at the time, apparently there were about 100 or 200 people living at this end of Tawa, and they really wanted a railway station. They were told, no, you do not get a station. You have to get off at the main Tawa station and walk back and forth. So apparently what they did when they were homeward bound is they'd pull the emergency stop lever and pull the train to an emergency stop, leap off the train. And after this happening for quite some while, they managed to get approval to finally have a station put in. And at the time, this part of Northern Tawa didn't have its own name, and the locals were asked what they wanted to name the station. They decided, because local farmer Stuart Duncan had been heavily involved in advocating for the station, and he owned Linden Farm down at this end of Tawa, the community voted in favour of calling it Linden Station after Linden Farm, and that's how the suburb of Linden was named as well. So the station opened in 1940. Okay, we're coming up to Grasslees Reserve. It's a curious name for a reserve. This is part of the original farm down this end of Tawa, which was 100 acres, and a gentleman called William Earp purchased the farm, and he named it Grasslees after his family's farm back in England, which in Northumberland, which was called Grasslees. So here we are, Grasslees Reserve. That's how it got its name. It's a great wee park. So the farm was carved up in 1925. The government purchased, I think, the bulk of the land to make way for the building of the main trunk line through Tawa, and they put aside a large chunk of land, 25 acres, for the future college, which is now Tawa College, which has got huge grounds. So that used to be part of the farm here, and the residual that turned into beautiful Grasslees Reserve, which is good, very future thinking of them. Now, one of the reasons we're coming down this road is because it's part of the old Porirua Road. The Tawa Historical Society has put these beautiful bronze plaques on the footpath through where the road was. Constructed between 1846 and 1847. Awesome, the old Porirua Road. There was dense forest right through this whole area and up to the hilltops on either side was magnificent forest, and they cut down almost every tree in order to shift this valley into farmland through the 1800s progressively. It was still very predominantly farmland right through to after the Second World War, when they started in earnest to shift this into a large suburban area. I'll just flip over the other side of the road here. So the main road just kept on going at this point up Oxford. And there's some beautiful original old cottages on this road, highly intriguing. This beautiful house here must be one of the originals. What a gorgeous house. I love it. And here's another of my absolute favourite cottages, built on the curve. You can just imagine people pulling up in their horse and carts here. Adorable little thing. We're coming past Tawa School, which has been a school for a very long time, since very early in the development of Tawa. Is Meckstead Motors, one of the fine old families of Tawa. I've since learnt the Meckstead family. You can see here another plaque, so we're still on the old Parirua road here. Okay, we're at Tawa Street. I'm veering off now to take you down to the train line. Okay, we're down at Redwood Station. I just wanted to show you that while the current main trunk line here with the double tracks opened in 1937, about 90 years ago, that there was an old original rail line which is now Duncan Street, and it came on the sort of uphill side of the current train tracks, and that operated from far earlier. In fact, 1886 I've read that they opened the original train line, and that helped open up this area. However, there was only one steam train a day went to and fro through Tawa to Wellington, so I'm sure that was quite a phenomenon for them anyway. Okay, we're inching closer to the bucket tree. I'm guessing the original train line went the whole way along where the lower reaches of Taylor Terrace are. I don't know for sure, but looking at the lay of the land, I wouldn't be surprised if the railway, the original one, was still uphill at this stage and came through a bit higher up than the current railway line. Okay, editor's note here. I did some digging and managed to eventually find this photograph. So we're looking from Tawa towards Wellington and to Takapū station here. You'll see the old alignment in green in the centre, and it does indeed go higher up than the new alignment in yellow. And you'll see where I've given the little red circle is the bucket tree. So there it is in all its glory. And on the left, I understand this photo was about 1951, is the construction of the new motorway on the orange line there. That's so cool to see finally. So there's this very nice pathway the whole way from Redwood Station through to Takapū Station, where the mighty bucket tree lives. Okay, what we're coming into now was the original Boscobel Farm. I'm not sure of the exact year that the Earp family purchased this beautiful farm, but it must have been as far back as around 1860 or prior. So as we come into Boscobel, you can see some of these beautiful, they must be original trees. These are eucalypts, quite big, and these gorgeous old poplar trees. Look at that lovely big poplar. So I'm sure that's at least 150 years old, maybe more. Another cool thing, and we'll go see it after, is that William Earp planted a huge fruit orchard, and I understand these are some of the original fruit trees that are still standing. There's one on the ground, and they consisted of apples, pears, fig trees, etc. Wellington City Council is replacing some of the orchard with selected heirloom apple trees, which is really great to hear because it sounds like these ones are on their last legs, unfortunately. We're actually walking under the main trunk line here. Okay, this is where the original Earp homestead used to be, but it's since been demolished and there's a motel in its place. Here is the mighty bucket tree. Oh, it is beautiful. You can see clearly from this angle the very flat top on top of the bucket tree. And I read a comment on a Facebook post from years back that the Earp family used to lay a picnic blanket on top of the tree, I guess when it was quite young, and actually set out a picnic on top of it, like a tabletop. In autumn each year, Wellington City Council has an arborist on site, and they manage to trim a couple of centimetres or millimetres. Okay, it is a few millimetres from this tree each autumn. I'm sure that is quite a logistical exercise. It's an extraordinary looking thing when you're actually here looking at it. I don't think photos do this tree any justice. The other cool thing is that the Wellington City Council has recognised the bucket tree and this beautiful Norfolk pine as notable trees, which I think just recognises their historical value. Okay, I'm quite innocently going to come through this main set of stairs here because I feel like it must be the original steps down to the homestead, and this is something else. Okay, we're getting up and personal now. I've spoken to the motel manager. He's okayed me to be wandering around out here. Oh, it's great to get under this tree. It's so good. Oh, look at this beautiful thing. I desperately want to climb it. It looks like a very good climbing tree. It's a notable tree, Monterey cypress, Cypressus macrocarpa. A final time, guys, right from the bottom. Panning up, 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 up. Right to the top, way, way, way up. Here's its friend, the Norfolk pine, from underneath. But really, I think the star of the show is definitely the bucket tree. We're a bit later in the afternoon now, so we're on the shaded side. I'm just showing again next to this standard size ute how big the bucket tree is. It's worth visiting just to have a look underneath. It's really beautiful. It's very otherworldly. And you can see that the council keeps it very, very neat and tidy under here. Beautiful set of steps here out onto Boscobel Lane. Who knows if I'm pronouncing that right. And this, I do understand, is also part of the old Porirua Road. I wonder if we could find any of those brass plaques to verify that. And yep, right on cue, just verifying, we have one of these gorgeous old plaques on the road. And I've decided to come down and look at these old fruit trees. They are really tall when you get up close. It's probably a apple, not quite sure. It looks like they're trying to encourage a new growth there, if that's possible from the old root. Well, this is quite a farm-like setting with the old poplar trees. There's holly trees with their prickly leaves. Okay, bonus fact, there's a cluster of 11 Kodi trees here in one corner of Willow Bank Reserve, and apparently these were planted by the council in recognition of the cast of the Lord of the Rings movies and Peter Jackson, and of course the great Tolkien himself, and to recognise the 11 Oscars that the Return of the King received. They're already really tall. I guess we're speaking 22 years old already. They might dwarf these huge eucalyptus trees at some stage. Okay folks, I always forget to actually video myself when I pop out and do these adventures, but here I am sharing final reflections. That was really cool to go get up close and personal with the Tawa bucket tree. I've formed quite an affection for the tree after that visit and learning a bit about its history. It's really impressive when you get up close to it and have a look underneath at all the gorgeous branches. It's really quite something. If you love the Tawa bucket tree as well, please give it a vote in the 2026 New Zealand Tree of the Year Glamour event. And hope you've, in general, just enjoyed today's little outing, and hope you'll join me for another small adventure soon. Ciao!